Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to make a video specifically to people who are parents of children learning band instruments, or as an adult, you're learning instruments for the first time. First off, thank you so much. Learning band instruments is probably the most important thing that we do in our lives. It brings us into a fantastic world that can't be experienced with any other activity. Music is unique to itself. So let's get to it. I wanted to create a video for people who have no musical formal education and also no formal mechanical education, because you actually already know all the information, you have all the examples around you to make a good decision about what instrument you want to spend your money on. You already possess the information. It's just nobody's actually translated it to you from what you already know into musical instruments. But it's fine. If you're a band parent and you have no musical education and no mechanical know-how, don't worry. You're not going to hurt your child at all. You already have the information. If you're a band parent who already has a little bit of musical experience, get involved in the stuff your child is learning how to play. Ask them questions. Ask them how and why is music important to them. And I guarantee you're going to love the answers. Remember, the new players are going to bring us into the future. So get engaged. Being a band parent or being a new hobby musician, learning about your instrument is not hard. You already possess the knowledge it takes of how to answer your own questions. What's lacking is the positive information available, even on the internet. It is difficult to find a trustworthy answer to, for example, who makes the best student line saxophone? Or does my instrument need regular repair? Or how much does a trumpet cost? This is very, very difficult information. There's loads and loads of it and difficult to sift through because everybody says their instrument's the best, it's the finest, it was manufactured by elves who were signed by Elvis, and they work off of diamond-studded work tables. I mean, it's crazy out there. But you already possess the information it takes to figure out if you're purchasing a good instrument for yourself or for your child, or if you're kind of wasting your money, or even more detailed than that, sometimes we don't have enough money to spend on an instrument we'd like to have, and we have to settle for something a little less expensive. Well, if you go into that with open eyes, great. What happens a lot of times is people will see a very inexpensive instrument and they'll read the text about it, that it was created by elves with a diamond-studded workbench. And they'll say, okay, click buy. It makes sense. But that's because nobody has ever told you you already possess the information to ask the right questions. So that's what this video is going to be about, how to ask the right questions. What makes up the different qualities of instruments and what you should expect for the money that you're spending on your instrument. Okay? Now, to begin with, I want to say right from the start that I use the word band a lot instead of musical instruments. Band and band instruments distinguishes these instruments from, say, orchestra instruments that are string instruments, or instruments that are electrical and plug in, or even the accordion, or some of the more complex percussion instruments. These are all musical instruments, but I want to concentrate on the band instruments or wind instruments. So you'll hear me use band and band instruments instead of musical instruments quite often. Okay, so first things first, band is a contact sport. I know nobody ever told you that, but it really, really is. Just think about it. All you got to do is close your eyes and picture your little cherub sitting there in their chair with their instrument. They've got themselves, an instrument, a chair, the case the instrument went in, a music stand and music, and a neighbor with the same configuration. Case, chair, themselves, instrument, music stand, music, and then there's a neighbor on this side. It happens. You just have to breathe out, and whenever you purchase your instrument, realize that at some point it will get damaged. Just like a car, no matter how well you drive, somebody might just bang into you no matter how well you drive. Or if you're a really lousy driver, you might bang into stuff yourself. These are just human beings playing these instruments. So expect things will get damaged, and also it's important to expect regular maintenance, just like your car, regular maintenance. And for band instruments, instruments that are in the hands of younger people, once a year is highly recommended. And if you can afford to, more than once a year, like for example, before every concert. That's always good. What happens is the instrument slips out of their hand, or they bump it up against their or whatever, and they test it, and it plays, but there's still something wrong with it. Like after the fender bender in the parking lot, yeah, your car runs, but it still needs to be repaired. And if you don't repair it soon enough, things only get worse. We all know this. Like I said, you already have the information it takes. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds of band instruments available. We've got woodwind instruments and we've got brass wind instruments. And in this section, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about drums. I am not a drum expert. I have the ability to repair drums, and I certainly have drum knowledge, but if you've got something serious wrong with your drums, I am not the person to ask about. All right, so what we've got here are just tubes and boxes. The wind instruments are the tubes, the drums are the boxes. It's really no more complex than that. So how do you figure out if the tube you're investing in or the box you're investing in is worth its money? Well, think about cars to begin with. Everybody's got a car. Everybody knows stuff about cars. And we all know the big difference between a more expensive automobile and a less expensive automobile. On the more expensive automobile, it's luxury. It's a little more comfortable and things function really well. Things are put together well. That's what you're paying for. With the less expensive instrument, you've got not quite so comfy materials and things aren't put together terribly logically, and things are kind of rinkety-dinkety. They break a little bit easier. Okay? Same thing with band instruments. You already have the information it takes. A more expensive instrument is going to be of higher quality. And I mean like a much more expensive instrument. A very inexpensive instrument is not going to be a good instrument. Think about furniture. Everybody here knows about furniture. So for example, that oak dining room table that has been passed down from generation to generation cost a great deal of money and was put together by real masters and has lasted that whole time. Plus, it's probably been taken care of because the piece of furniture actually meant something to the family. Same thing with band instruments. If you buy a quality instrument, normally people take better care of it and you can pass it down from family member to family member as long as you maintain it. A cheaper instrument is like particle board furniture, okay? We know what we're getting when we're buying particle board furniture. Sometimes that's all we can afford, and sometimes it's really the perfect piece for us. But we all know what happens the first time we have to move with that piece of particle board furniture. The first time it gets broken or whatever, cannot be fixed. But you knew what you were getting into when you were getting into it. That was your choice. Same thing with band instruments. When you're purchasing a very inexpensive instrument, sure, it might function for a while, but the minute it gets damaged, usually the repair will cost more than the instrument itself. So that would be a foolish way to put your money into it. Or it cannot be repaired. There are no replacement parts. The screws they use are an unusual size, okay? So you already possess the information you need to figure out what kind of money you want to spend on your instrument. Let's talk about sports equipment now. It's the same idea. If you've spent the right money on the right piece of sports equipment, it lasts. It works well, it straps together, it protects you, it holds together, it lifts well, it does everything it's supposed to do well. It costs a little bit more money. And then we all know what happens with really cheap sports equipment, like shoes. The soles fall apart and the little spiky things come off. Or you've got an apparatus where it's multiple parts and the parts don't fit together well and they're wobbly, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing with band instruments. You get what you pay for. So if you go into it with open eyes, then you're not going to be disappointed. You're not going to be angry when the repair tech says, I'm sorry, but it can't be repaired, or it's going to cost double what it costs to buy the darn thing. If you go into it with open eyes, with the information you already have, you'll do just fine. So please, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Comment, like, and follow. Thank you.